Welcome back to another Terra Plays Terra video. Okay, so in today's video we are going to go over Tera Console's 125.01 update. And this update is going to come out July 10th, so for us in the States it's probably going to be more July 9th, midnight-ish, into the 10th around 1, 2, 3, 4 a.m. Usually server goes down late at night, and then it's back up about 4 in the morning or some shit. And yeah, there's a lot to go over with this patch. The devs have actually done some really cool stuff. This is the first patch notes that actually make me excited for Tera Console. And I'm kind of speechless. I'm glad. I'm happy. I hope this is them moving in the right direction. Now, I hope this is them moving in the right direction and not making it shit. So let's dive in. The first thing you're gonna see is dungeon with developers comment, and throughout this whole patch note list they've released comments. I will give a short version of it. You can read the whole thing. Basically, Bahar is being closed, and they're bringing us a new version of Chandra Manaya. It's not going to be like the last version we had. If you all played, God, I want to say over 2-3 years ago, we had, Immortal Manaya. Completely different dungeon. Apparently, they've reworked it. The dungeon is going to be just the last boss. Now, I don't know if it's going to be 2 phases, but it is meant to be a singular fight, and none of the rest, as well as apparently they've reworked the mechanics, and that's kind of what they said, that this is meant to be a brand new dungeon that's never been seen before. Now, of course, we've seen the bosses before, or we've seen Chandra before, but hopefully we're actually getting something new for console, specifically for console. About time. So basically, they just tell you how to enter. It's the same spot that Chandra Manaya is going to be at, and there's going to be 2 versions of this dungeon. There's going to be the Chandra Manaya of Eternity, and then Undying. Eternity is going to be an 870, replacing Bahar, and Undying is going to be the first 900 item level. We don't have too much information about this dungeon, but I'm assuming it's going to be 5 players. We'll talk about this in a second, and that one's meant to be the leaderboard dungeon when they release it. Now, I want to go over the fact that they released and said Chandra Manaya Eternity is weekly entries 1 free 3 total. I think this is a typo, and as we go throughout most of the patch notes, you're going to read weird wording. I think it's just the, Korean language translating to Japanese. Korean language translating to English. If they're really making this 870, 3 times a week, then this is a really bad thing. I don't think they're gonna do that. It's very rare that they do dumb shit like this. I hope the devs aren't that dumb, and I hope if they are that dumb, you watch this video and you fucking change it. If not, you're just killing your community. You got an amazing patch here. Don't let this be the one reason that you kill your game at this point. Because this replacing Bahar is, not acceptable. If it's going to be the only 870 with a great amount of mats, not acceptable. Especially since you put in your patch notes that you want people to learn this version, the 870, so they'll feel more comfortable in the 900. And if you read that throughout the whole thing, again, I'm paraphrasing these, if you read that, somewhere in here they'll say like, oh, make sure you learn the easier version so you feel comfortable in the hard version. Then why make it a weekly entry? Again, rant over, I think it's a typo. We will see on the release of it. I will test things and check all that out that day. Within that, Bahar is being closed. Leaderboards also are being closed. There is going to be no leaderboards apparently. I'm assuming that's until Manaya the Undying comes out. Rewards previously obtained in Bahar are going to be transferred to Eternity. Again, more reason that this should not be a weekly okay rant over. The devs comment now about the new gear system. We are getting kind of a new gear system, which is really cool, and I really like what the devs are doing with this. Now, before we get into this, know that your old gear is not becoming useless. Everything you grind for is still going to be of value. This new gear system is an event. It is going to be a 4-month event, which is really freaking cool. So basically at the end of the 4 months, we're going to be able to trade or dismantle this event gear for new rewards that will help I'm assuming our old gear. Now, they haven't released anything about that, but let's go over the new gear system. So the maximum enchantment level is going to be plus 40. That is massive. Up to 35 is going to be relatively easy to get through. Enchantments will require more dungeon materials and separate type of enhancement powders. We'll go over that in a second. There is going to be no fail stack system with this gear, which I'm for and against because it took the devs so long to put item XP back in the game, and now they're kind of taken away. And what this means is if you get a gear to level 37 and they haven't released the XP percentage, but let's say that gear is 20% and you fail, you're not getting a 21, you are stuck at whatever XP or whatever, percent chance they give you. That's it. And the last note here is that raids provide a large quantity of materials, so hopefully this means maybe we'll get more raids. Not too sure, but doing the Chalcaic raids at the beginning are going to be very useful. And this just goes over that there will be a global leaderboard towards the end, after November 13th, which is the last day of the event. So I'm assuming this gear set, when we dismantle it, is going to be very, very, very useful to our current gear. So yes, you're still going to want to upgrade your Kaya's gear, because it's not the end of Kaya's, it's not the end of our current gear set. It is a brand new gear system being added, and they even show it, like right here. You'll start off with a 450 lance or whatever weapon, armor, gloves, and footwear. It'll start off at 450. Gear can be used up until the 13th. Once the gear expires, you can exchange it, like it said. Enhancements up to 40. Runes can be equipped to this gear. So even if you got the 450, you can apply the runes that you have been grinding. We'll get into more about that. Basically, we can even see right here, this is a nice little sneak peek of the gear. It's only going to cost 500 gold to get from 10 to 11. They've slashed the amount of gold. This is the new enhancement powder of growth. It doesn't look, it's hard to say, but 1100, they got 38,000. Maybe they're just making up numbers, but if this drops in every dungeon, again, we don't know. There might change. Before 10 might be a different material that you have to farm lower end dungeons. We won't know until it comes out. But really, 10 to 11, this is already 1/4 of the way. 500, still green shards and emerald, 60% chance. It's looking like it's going to be fairly easy to enchant it. So for players that already have max gear, you can probably burn through the dungeons and enchant. Or these are probably bankable. So there's a good chance if you got a tune that you really want to try and play that's, basic gear, this might be a great patch to get alternate characters up. Or just to have something else to grind. The way you get the gear is going to be through, the growth weapon merch. Basically, it can, once per character, so every character you own can get a full set of gear. You get the Elenu coin, for the Dungeon Core Rage. you know, get the Dungeon Core Rage and then the Vanguard request by completing, you know, item level 540, blah blah blah. You will receive the gear appropriate for a class. Items are bound on pickup and you cannot trade them. So basically you just, you know, grind it out. It seems like it'll be pretty quick to get the gear, and it's only weapon, armor, you know, gloves and footwear. You know, enchantment cost has been adjusted. The gold cost for enchanting certain gear has been reduced, while the requirement of fluorite has been increased, you know, proportionally. So it's going to cost us less gold to even enchant our current gear, but we'll have to get more of the fluorite, which you get from playing the game as it is. This is being affected towards, I don't know what gear set this is, because this is not what we have. I'm assuming Val Resolve gear is meant to be like Heroic Oath, and Enraged Kaya's is meant to be Kaya's gear. Again, I don't know. It's kind of confusing because we're on Annihilation gear, and I think this is just a translation error. Now let's get into runes. As I mentioned, the runes you had can go onto the new gear, and the nice thing they have done with runes is you can now liberate the runes. So if you want to liberate them and put them on the new gear, or the other route is getting a rune, putting on that gear, the new gear, and then being able to liberate it and put it back. So basically you're able to liberate a rune that does not make them tradable. I'm gonna say that straight up. It's not something, the runes will remain untradeable, but you can liberate them to swap it between gear. So that's kind of nice. Your stones will now come with, you know, conversions. This is also an amazing change to the game. Basically, level 7 to 10 can be converted. You can only use them on bound items, so obviously if you get a level 9, you know, Aron stone, and you want to make it a level 9 Shara or Shala, you'll have to bound it and convert it. But the nice thing with this is, honestly, if you're trying to get both stones still on your main character, and you get unfortunate that you get 2 blue 10s, you can at least come and buy the, you know, conversion, and we'll kind of go over that shortly after. I don't know, they kind of mix them up. But here is basically the bank showing that you can buy the Rune Liberation Scroll as well as all of these. So we can see the Rune Liberation is 1,000 or 100,000 gold, and then each tier of stone 1 mil, 3, 5, and 10 mil. This seems ridiculous, but I will say I think it's easy to make gold in the current patches. I think gold is at a good spot. I think this being what costs a lot of gold isn't a terrible thing, because honestly, if you're converting your level 10 blue to a level 10 red or vice versa because you have your character with those, you probably don't need gold on that character. You're probably close to done or been playing a lot. I could be wrong. I know I'm still nowhere near getting a level 10. I think the 7, 8, 9 are not really useful, but some people might find use in them. If they really want both 8s on, you know, if you get screwed and you get 2 blue 8s and you're like, oh man, now I'm down a stone, you can make one a 9, or not 9, make one a red. But you know, I think it's good. I think this is fantastic, and I think the gold price, even though it's so high, I think that's fair, because this is the end. Like, when you have everything done and you're converting a stone from blue to red to finish it off, it's probably one of the last things besides cards you have to get done. So, you know, the next thing is they've done some changes to pets, which is kind of cool that they're changing, you know, they're adding stuff to crafting. It's going to be inside the etchings, and you'll be able to craft your own destructive, bulwark, and enlightenment training books. This is kind of important and useful to know, because later on we'll go over pet changes, which is also some quality of life changes. Basically, to craft any of these, you'll need 2 high tier books, diamonds, Production point is 2, and you'll have to get the recipes, which I think they put down here. Enhancement powder of growth can now be obtained from all dungeons. So basically, oh, they're updating. That's so weird. I apologize. So the enhancement powder of growth, which is what allows you to enchant the event gear, drops in all dungeons. To get that event gear from 35 to 40, you're gonna need Chandra's feathers, which will drop in the 2 Chandra Manaya dungeons. The Manaya dungeons will also have a low chance to drop the training manual or the designs to craft these, training books. So I apologize on all the double backing the patch notes do. It's just kind of how it is, but so that's the nice thing. They're adding a lot of stuff to that. Now we'll go over class balance. Before we get into this, Reaper and Slayer, I apologize. I'm not gonna know what these skills are because it's just, they use some really weird names. Lancer and Brawler both getting an aggro generation increased by 20. I am so glad they did this. If it took them another 3 patches to do this, I would flip shit. They finally realized that tanks are losing aggro just because of the changes they made to damage. And that tanks were still having an issue. So luckily, at least Lancer and Brawler got the love they need. Maybe they'll consider doing it for War Tank. Maybe not, because Warrior gets a nice buff later in the patch note. Reapers. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna take a real good guess at whatever these skills are. Dark Descendant. Activating Dark Descendant now activates Dark Leap. Dark Leap. Casting speed increase. Duration increase 6 to 8 seconds. Fuck if I know. I don't know what these even... I don't know. Whirling Scythe. Grants rare attack effect for 4 seconds after use. That's a nice buff. I'm assuming Whirling Scythe is where you throw your scythes out and they spin into the boss. I don't think it's Death Spiral. It wouldn't make sense, but maybe Death Spiral because it makes a whirl. Unless I'm wrong and I just am really out of touch and there is a skill named these things. Scythe Smash? I think that's Grim Strike. The max stack of Tennessee Glyph, the final Scythe Strike, has been increased from 2 to 5. Maybe it's Grim Strike. Maybe it's Sunder. I don't think Reaper has a skill named Scythe Smash. Dark Burst, I think, is your little skill you would technically do after Cable Step. And Counter / Retaliate skill power is significantly increased. Don't know why Counter needs more power, but okay. Overall, your buffs look good. It's just I'm not too sure what skills they're referring to, but increasing the duration from 6 to 8 is good. I feel like maybe this might actually be a Shrouded Escape, but that doesn't sound like a leap, and I think they already did Shrouded Escape buff. Again, Whirling Scythes grant rare attack for 4 seconds. Good. Like, you kind of got your OG, Assassinate back, maybe in some form, but a different rotation. It's just really weird because I don't know what skills these are. Same thing with Slayer. Fierce Assault, Pierce, PvE, damage increased by 4%. Now grants 5 power to self on hit. That's a good buff. I don't know what attack that is. I had a Slayer friend looking through his skills and he was like, I don't know. So if anyone has an idea what these attacks are actually meant to be called, again, I think this is just a translation error. Warriors, we are getting PvE damage increased by 3.5%. It's kind of nice. I like to see that they're just increasing our overall damage. I think there's a lot of classes that hit a lot harder than Warrior. I know Warrior is in a pretty decent spot, and now this should actually bring it maybe more towards the front. But I think classes are pretty balanced. Personally, I think Valks and Zerks are probably the strongest hitting class, but they tend to fall off outside their burn. And of course, you know, I think Reapers, Ninjas, and Slayers tend to be pretty strong with their burns and being consistent in burns. Same thing with Warrior. So I think everyone's getting relatively balanced, which is good to see that they're still doing that and they're still working towards that. Finally, we are going to go over pet adjustments. So the effect of the passives and the Transcendence passives are being increased. So basically Iron Mace, Corrosion, all of that stuff should last a bit longer. It's kind of a nice buff to give pets. The probability of obtaining the highest tier with, you know, a damage bonus is being increased by 2.5. That's also really nice to see, because a lot of players were having a really annoying time getting getting Iron Mace 3 with damage. It's really annoying when you're trying to get like a really good top roll for your pet and then your bottom rolls are just trash, or you get a really good bottom roll, like you might get, you know, 14% enraged, 15%, you know, enraged, and, you know, 22 power, but your top roll might be like Anger 2 or Domination 1, and it's like, man, these yellow rolls are perfect, but the top roll is just bad. So there will be more detailed specifications after the update in the Terra guide. I will go over that after the update comes out when they release it, as well as I will go over in-game changes as soon as I can once the update's out. I think this patch is overall really good. I think it's a good stepping stone. I think the devs have done something very smart with releasing this event gear. I truly think if you enjoy playing Tera Console and you want the chance to come back to the game, now's the time, because this gear is gonna potentially help you come back to the game, in my opinion. Of course, anyone who already has max Kaya's gear or high-end Kaya's gear, or Annihilation gear, my bad, or an Annihilation, not Kaya's. Anyone who has max gear or high-end Annihilation, or Annihilation in general, probably going to be able to burn through this event gear pretty quick. I wouldn't sleep on it, because I do think that this gear is going to give us something for our gear. I think that, you know, having this gear, and it's only going to give one thing, so I wouldn't be shocked if this gives like a conversion to convert your gear. And they're not limiting it to the event. They did state in the patch notes that, you know, it's going to be something that gives you a quick buff, but you're not limited. It's not going to be limited to the event. It's going to be hard to obtain after the event, meaning it's probably going to be in a high dungeon. And I personally think that they're trying to use this as a good segue to get everyone caught up or on some even playing ground in some form. And I hope over the course of the next 4 months, they reconsider giving away stuff to really help people get their cards in check, card XP, balancing the cards. I think some of the card buffs do need to be nerfed or reconsidered. Or just changed. But I think this is a good start. And if I'll be curious to see Chandra Manaya. I'll be curious to see what changes they do. Is this a brand new dungeon? You know, they tried to tell me that the Dreadspire they released was new, and they tried to tell me at one time Storm Citadel was custom for console, and I'm like, no, both of them are not new. You know, like, your tower is just a repeat of bosses that are already in game, and from what I understood, they were just faster and maybe a new mech here and there. Storm Citadel, if I recalled, was on PC. A lot of people don't remember it, but I'm pretty sure it was a dungeon from PC. And in fact, a lot of the mechs that they gave him we're actually in the original PC hard mode of Dark Reach Citadel. We on console actually got a nerfed Dark Reach Citadel hard. We did not get the real version, and Storm Citadel was kind of like a hybrid. So I do hope that they actually did give her mechanics that haven't been seen on both PC and console. I'm a little worried that maybe they're just giving us the Dreadspire version that PC had of her originally, which would be good. It would be cool in some respect, but also I really do want to see them make new content for console. You know, not just recycle PC stuff, and hopefully this is the start of that journey. So within that is the end of the patch notes. Hopefully I'll be playing a bit more PC Terra. I don't know if I will. I do want to go through the event. I do want to upgrade the gear, so maybe I'll do that as some videos. I've been playing a bit of the fan servers because honestly the content's just more fun on the fan servers. I do have to release more videos for that as well. I've been slowly doing like a lot of videos at once and backing off because I've been really hectic with work. And just busy in general, so hopefully I can get some of that content out to y'all. That's about it for this video. If you like the content, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so, as I will be releasing more Terra content as I can. And as always, I hope to see y'all in Aboria gamers. Peace.